My name's Christine McKenna. I'm here in David Lynch's sound studio in Los Angeles, and we're talking about his exhibition in France and the catalog. We're going to go through the catalog for you.
And Christine has been doing interviews with me since Blue Velvet.
No, 1980.
1980?
Yeah.
So what were we talking about the first time?
You were in prep for Elephant Man.
So it's great to talk to you again, Christine.
Great to talk to you.
These here are very small little drawings, but I really like these little drawings. And they were kind of made to photograph and blow up. And this is an example of, of that.
These are the drawings in the end papers, and at first they just kind of look like hieroglyphic marks. When did you start drawing this way?
I started doing these kind of things in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Because looking through the book, it was so amazing how many really different styles of drawing. It's almost like none of the two look alike. Looking closer at these kind of hieroglyphic mark drawings, and we're looking at the end papers in the book, there's words in here, words like ant, bee, electric. What will cause a word to take on enough significance that you'll want to work it into a drawing?
The drawing I like insects. So, and then I like bees because my friend Jack Nance, I might have told you that, got me he worked in a hotel as a night watchman and opened a door of a vacant room and found like 10,000 dead bees and sent me a Kleenex box filled with them. And then I made my bee board from those bees. So, it started with the Ricky board. A Ricky board was based on my idea of a Japanese kind of formal art. And so you would arrange whatever they're all would be subtly different, but mainly look the same, like a rows of bees. Mm-hmm. I think 4 rows of 5 was what it was. But then you would name your Rickies. And so they look the same, but they all got different names.
I know you couldn't recognize one from the other, but how did you select the names? Did you look at a bee and it would say, "Oh, that's Dave"? Or
yeah, and it's a strange thing. Once I saw a row of sheep in a film being slaughtered, and they all looked basically the same, one sheep after another. And I'm sure there's beings that look at all of us and we're pretty much basically the same, but when you put a name to it, they kind of separate out. Mm-hmm. And it's true. You could look at a bee named Riley, and bee would take on a certain character.
A Riley-esque personality.
A bee named Bob would suddenly be unique.
What's your favorite insect?
Well, I kind of like them all. The stink bug, I sometimes draw. I don't know why, but they've got 6 legs. Mm-hmm. And ants. I think ants, to me, are fascinating.
Why?
Because they work night and day. Mm-hmm. And I used to think that I think killing an ant is, kind of a traumatic thing. But then I started thinking that they might just be like cells of one body, and that it doesn't mean it's good, to kill a cell of your body, but that there'd be one ant soul, and all the individual ants are part of that one body. I'm not sure about that.
Do you think that same theory can apply to the human race?
No. Individual souls, I think.
Really?
Yeah. You have an individual soul.
But isn't that the source of conflict in the world? Is that we separate ourselves that way?
On the surface is diversity, but at the source is unity. So at the deepest level, we're all one. One. And then as it emerges up, it gets more and more and more and more and more separate. And they say, like in the garden, there's all these different kind of flowers, all so beautiful but different. But they're in that one soil.
That's a beautiful theory, David. I like that. The way you use words, do the words come to you as you're making the drawing, or will you be going about your day and think, there's a word I want to work into a drawing?
There might be a little bit of both, but you can see that I like certain words, like bugs and crawling and dirt, like that one on this page, and it just comes to you as you're doing them.
So this is about page 5 of the book. We're still kind of working through the...
Now this is the title of the show, The Air is on Fire. When Hervé read that, he said, "Oh, that would be a beautiful title." And so there it is.
What does that phrase conjure for you in your imagination?
It's a little bit of a shock. It's a jump into something that would be sensational.
But potentially dangerous?
Could very well be.
Yeah. Sounds kind of dangerous. Okay, here we've gotten to page, the title page of the book is a beautiful graphite drawing of an eye. That eye, for some reason, reminds me of the Elephant Man. Isn't there an eye? Mm-hmm. So are there certain images that just recur and just stay with you?
Well, I'm sure. But an eye is pretty magical. I think you could think about an eye for a long time. Mm-hmm. It's just beautiful. Unbelievable.
This is a very beautiful drawing, too. Is that someone specific's eye? Do you know whose it is?
No, I don't think so.
Uh-huh. Do you know when you drew this?
No.
Not even the decade?
I don't think so.
Problem. Okay, now we've gotten to page 20. Do you have any idea, was this an early drawing?
Yeah, but I don't know when. Uh-huh. And, of course, everybody loves Vincent van Gogh.
Do you?
Yes.
What do you love about him?
I love how driven he was.
He was that. Do you think that his madness played a role in his genius?
Yes, and I always, and I talked about him in my book on meditation. Mm-hmm. I think he suffered a lot, and I know a lot of people say, well, if he didn't suffer, he wouldn't have made the paintings he made. But I don't know about that.
He might have made more if he wasn't suffering.
So I said he would be more prolific and enjoy the doing more and maybe even push it further.
Yeah.
But I love his drive and the compulsion to get out, and I feel that he must have got into such a beautiful place doing it because he would go out every day. So that's what made him happy. It's what made him tick.
Do you have a favorite painting by him?
I like the portrait with the bandaged head and the pipe. I think he's got a pipe.
Yeah. So this drawing of Van Gogh is obviously on a piece of paper torn out of a sketchbook. Do you run around with this? Are you a person who always has a sketchbook?
No. I got paper around, but I don't carry drawing materials.
Mm-hmm. Now we're on page 29, and there's a series of 4 drawings that look early.
They are early things.
Yeah. So were you in your 20s, a teenager?
No, this one here, I don't even remember doing the first one, these
page
2 trees.
Page 29, which is very beautiful.
This is probably in high school. Mm-hmm. And that's, I had this weird paper that was kind of like oatmeal paper. Mm-hmm. And I would do those things. This next one is a clock. And that was when I was in the 7th grade. I remember doing that one.
It looks like a drawing where you were learning perspective and just learning.
No, it was a still life thing. Uh-huh. They set it up in the schoolroom. And so that's my my little drawing of that. So in 7th grade, you obviously had a pretty developed ability to draw. Did that just come naturally to you? Well, I was drawing, I never thought about it. And it's, like looking back, I would think everybody has this ability to draw, and you just draw. And you find some pleasure in drawing, or you wouldn't do it. So when I was little, I would draw guns and knives. It was right after the war, and there was a lot of Army surplus things, and, we would play, war. And I got into airplanes, bombers and fighter planes, these flying Tigers, and Browning automatic water-cooled submachine guns.
And those were lying around the...
No, they were like pictures that I would copy and, find the names and do drawings of them.
I have friends who have children, and I've noticed all boy children, regardless of how they're raised, are drawn to weapons. How do you explain that?
I don't know. I think because it will shoot an object out of itself, and that you can aim them and break something.
Yeah, that explains it. It is fun to break.
It's
things.
a machine. This is in high school.
On page 31, it's a picture of a man smoking.
That's me. It's a self-portrait.
That's a self-portrait? Mm-hmm. You look like Ahmet Ertegun or Malcolm X there.
It's my Malcolm X stage.
Okay, this is page 32. It's a pastel, isn't it?
No, it's a pencil drawing with kind of turpentine color overlaid.
It's very beautiful.
This guy here, when I went to Europe in 1965, at the border of Italy and Yugoslavia, the train switched to coal from electricity. And as we went through Yugoslavia, it was a little bit like going back in time. And that man was standing at the edge of a field near the train tracks. That's
very beautiful. He looks like he's in the past. Now we're jumping to a series of two pages, and it says 6 men, but there aren't 6 men, are there?
Well, there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 men getting sick. The first film I made, based on the experience of seeing a painting move in my studio and hearing a wind, I wanted to do a moving painting. And I knew in principle that film looked like it was moving, but it was made up of still images. And the idea of stop motion, and you get the principle, and then you just need the camera. And I thought at that time that all 16 millimeter cameras were the same. That when you said 16 millimeter, it was a certain type of camera would come.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah. But there are many, many 16 millimeter models. Mm-hmm. And I was always amazed at how the price varied. So I got the cheapest one, calling around at a place called Photorama in Philadelphia. And Photorama was just a downtown camera shop. But they had a little Bell and Howell camera that you put a magazine in, and it had single frame capabilities. That's what I needed. And it had a little turret of 3 lenses, wide, medium, and close. So I made this first film with that camera, and I animated this in a room in an old hotel, maybe the 12th floor, 9th floor, something like this, in an old hotel in Philadelphia, and had the camera taped to a dresser and then nailed to the floor and set up. And it wasn't reflex viewing, so I had to make sure I had space all around the thing. So on the original, you can see the radiator that the board was sitting on. And then I made this sculptured screen. See, on the front here, underneath the one, you see 3 figures. Those are sculpted.
Yeah, you can tell.
And
you sculpted those?
Those are life casts. 2 of them are me, and one of them is my friend Jack. And so Jack cast me for those, and I put them in, and I cast Jack and put him in.
So that's here. That 3 of the 6 men are...
Then the film overlaps the 3-dimensional screen and interacts with it. so that I hung the sculptured screen in the middle of the stage theater and built like an erector set above the projector so that the film could be a continuous loop and play over and over on this. And the parts that I didn't want to see fell away. I could move it to just the parts I wanted were hitting the sculptured screen, and there was many feet behind it where the image I didn't want would fall off.
Mm-hmm. So basically, these are stills from your first film. What happens in it? 6 men throw up?
6 men get sick. Yeah.
Okay. Now we have stills from the amputee. Is that Catherine Coulson?
This is Catherine Coulson.
I recognized her.
This came about because one day, Fred Elms, who at that time was the director of photography on Eraserhead, but we were down. We weren't shooting. But Fred was a fellow at the Center for Advanced Film Studies, and he'd been asked by the faculty to test 2 black and white video stocks. So Fred came down and said he wouldn't be able to work that night or do something, because he was testing these black and white video stocks. And I said, well, what are you going to shoot? And he said, well, I'll just shoot, test patterns, the things. And I said, well, do you think they would mind if you shot something else? And he said, well, I don't think so. And I said, what if I wrote something? And he said, okay. And so I wrote this thing, and we stayed up all night, me and Catherine, and made this, the amputee, the next afternoon.
And this is a picture of a woman casually taking notes while someone appears to be amputating her leg?
She's writing a letter, and her voiceover is reading the letter over while the doctor is cleaning her stumps.
Who's playing the doctor?
You're looking at him.
That's you?
That's me.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm wearing a hairnet.
Why?
Because it's a doctor is like a cook.
Yeah.
You don't want any wild hairs getting into
That's
it.
very true.
Yeah.
Catherine Coulson, most people probably know her best as the log lady from Twin Peaks. Okay. Starting on page 49 through 96 these are all devoted to drawings. Some of these drawings, these thick lines, they remind me of Aboriginal marks, which, do you know much about Aboriginal art?
No.
Well, just the dots and the lines, and their drawings have shamanic powers. Supposedly they're like portals into another reality.
Sure.
Would that be these?
Yeah, well, let's start at the front because we can set the stage.
Okay, we're on page
These
49.
These are all Post-it drawings.
Oh,
and
you're
so
kidding.
It's a series. And so, I don't even know how I started on these things, but they're a little bit like theaters. Like this business on the edge is like a curtain, and then there's things happening in my mind, on the theater. But they just would, roll out, and so they're all, as we turn the pages, Post-it, size drawings.
Is the sequence of any significance?
No significance whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But, when I see them after all these years, I'm thinking rugs. Mm-hmm. And I really want to make rugs. And so some of these would make, incredible rugs.
Later in the book, there's 2 drawings that scream out, I want to be a rug.
Yeah.
How did you preserve these drawings? Do you have?
Well, I saved them all this stuff in a box, and Debbie Trutnick, my assistant, after Blue Velvet into the 90s, is an extreme organizer. And she organized these, and Hervé left them pretty much as Debbie, organized them in a book to save them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're really beautiful. Do you have any idea when you did these? If it was after Blue Velvet, it had to be late 80s.
I don't know that it was. We're going to come along to napkin drawings. It's the same thing. I don't know that there's anything to talk about with these.
Well, what would make you stop? Okay, obviously you were very excited about working on this material? And what made you stop? What made you decide, okay, I've made enough Post-it drawings?
Well, I might have run out of Post-its, and but I might have many more somewhere. Now, see these coming up to, what's page is this?
Page 54.
On page 54, these are in the same, family, but these are no longer Post-its. If they are, they're bigger Post-its. So, when something is nearby, you start, working things. And so these are just small things, but as I see them, I'm real happy with them.
Mm-hmm. They're very beautiful. These drawings are sort of dominated by the shimmery, they almost remind me of like sine waves. Is this pencil or pastel?
Those, I think, are pencil. This is, the red one here on the left corner is China markers, like...
to mark on contact sheets?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The rest are pencil.
One of these drawings says Fire Walk With Me, so obviously this was a little later than just the 80s.
Fire Walk With Me was a phrase that came out of Blue Velvet, in the Blue Velvet days.
Do you remember? It's not in the film,
No,
is it?
but if Frank Booth had a tattoo, it would have been that.
Oh, okay. Well, does a phrase...
It wouldn't have been this drawing, but it would have been that phrase.
Does this phrase give birth to a whole reality and world?
Yes.
Will a phrase precede your creation of a world?
Yes.
Okay. Good. That's good to know. Okay, here we're on page 56 and 57, and these are completely different. These look like they're almost on Band-Aids, these
No, they're on
drawings.
matchbooks.
Oh.
These are a whole series of matchbook drawings. And I kind of do like a series. So I don't know how these happened, but in the old days, there were many more matches than there were lighters. And the matches were a lot of times plain, like these, so you could draw on them. And they're like diptychs, but some of them anyway. And anyway, little drawings on the matchbooks seemed to feel good.
How many of them did you do? Does this represent the best of them?
No, this is what's left.
Oh, because you lost them, or you
I
didn't?
would lose them.
Oh.
So I don't know how many I did.
So this suggests that you're one of those people that draws on what's ever around.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about these different series, like on napkins and like there's a whole different vocabulary for every one.
Mm-hmm.
They look completely different.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
Now we're coming up to the Bob's napkins. This is what page?
This is page 58 and 59. These are on napkins?
At Bob's Big Boy, they used to have, and I don't think they have them anymore, a chrome and metal napkin holder. And so you just reach over, get out a napkin, and start your drawing. And I would take a kit of, magic, markers and Sharpies, and then I'd have my coffee and my shake. And this is some of the things I was working on.
Do you like the way the line bleeds?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And then these things here, I don't know that I got into. These are a little bit, what page is that, Christine?
This is page 60 and 61, and they're I've never seen anything like this that you did.
No, they're a little uptight. And so I just would get into a thing, and these would come out. These are earlier, I think.
How early?
No, maybe in the 70s.
Yeah, because on page 60, it's like this tightly interwoven networks of lines that's very atypical for you.
But those things are in me, these kind of things.
Well, but
I don't know.
that to me is more you than that. The one on 61 has an explosive splot in it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to more
Now, these are
drawings.
like 3x5 card drawings coming in too. And they're just like cards. They got all kinds of phone numbers on them and different things. So it just was like, you could say, just because it was there, it would start getting, drawn on. So, but I still like them for rugs. Like this one at the, what page is that?
This is page 63.
The bottom right of 63
You know,
would be a killer rug.
my favorite on page 63 is this beautiful drawing of the baby from Eraserhead. Do you know when you drew that?
No.
Such a sweet. He looks so vulnerable and sweet. Yeah.
And I don't even know if these are in the right, many of these not necessarily in the right up and down or side to side.
Are these still all in your personal collection?
Yes.
And these are some more of those?
Yeah. So these are 3x5 drawings. And I like these for textures and the feel, and for rugs.
That one, page 65, the lower right, that would be a beautiful
And
rug.
this one would make a killer rug.
So if you were to frame these and hang them on the wall, would you group them or each one is unto itself?
Excuse me. They're so little.
Should they be in a vitrine?
They should be in something like that. But I like to photograph them and blow them up. Like that.
Yeah.
And then see, it gets like, what page is that?
This is page 66, and the shape seems a little different.
They get a lot more complicated, and many, many things are happening, and I really, it sort of thrills me.
This one, the upper left on page 67, that's kind of atypical for you, too. What does that mean?
Not
That almost
really.
looks like a Saul Steinberg drawing to me, almost. I love these on page 69. Was that on a calendar?
That's on a calendar somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, those are gorgeous. So when did you stop doing things like this? You
I don't
still
know.
do?
I still do them sometimes.
So, and also on one of these drawings on page 69, you just scribbled a phone number. That means you didn't feel really precious about these, like they,
No, I might have had the phone number on them and then started
the drawing.
started the drawing.
It is a good rug.
Yeah, there's some good rugs.
Yeah. Have you made a rug yet?
No.
Next,
I'm yearning.
it's your next thing. Okay, on page 71, it's a drawing of an interior, which to me looks exactly like the rabbits' place they live in Inland Empire.
Well, it's similar. I like these little rooms and did a whole bunch of drawings of little rooms. This is one of them. And then there's rugs
There's
again.
those rugs. Yeah.
And lamps. And I love to build lamps now.
Really?
So, and I want to build chairs. So there's a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
These are looking
rugs.
down in a
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
On what page is this?
This is page 72 and 73.
This sort of rugs and interiors.
What appeals to you about it's kind of 30s, 40s deco
It's more
overstuffed?
40s. I don't know. I don't want to live in a place like that. But I like to make a film in a place like that.
Yeah.
I like to go into that world.
Yeah.
Then we're going now to page.
74 and 75.
This 74 is a chalk drawing.
That is so beautiful.
You remember when I had the show at Jim Corcoran's?
Yeah, with the dark shape behind a veil, the pastels.
all those pastels. This is one of those, but this is a Polaroid of that. I don't know where the chalk drawing is.
Oh, it's a photograph of the drawing.
Yeah, it's a Polaroid of the drawing.
So did that soften it? Because it looks so
it's
muted.
pretty much the same. And then this on page 75, is that
Yeah,
it?
75.
That's partially finished, another little interior.
Well, that's a nude reclining
divan.
in one of those rooms with the
Right.
floor lamp and the overstuffed furniture.
This comes from Philadelphia. This is a Philadelphia feel.
Yeah.
The proportion of those windows was, it's a Philadelphia thing. That lamp is a Philadelphia lamp.
Speaking of Philadelphia, why did you go to the 12th floor of an old building in Philadelphia to do that
That's
film?
what the school owned that building.
Oh, I
And they
see.
gave me it as a studio.
I see.
For this project.
Yeah, okay. Here's page 76 and 77.
These are about 5x7 cards, and I've lost so many of these small drawings, but this is with a really sharp pencil, and I would get into these real small drawings, again with the idea of photographing them and blowing them up.
When were you doing these?
These are sort of 70s, I think.
Okay, on 76, this one, it looks like a naked man with emitting a beam of light from his groin.
Where do you see that?
Right there. What's going on there?
I don't know. they say the world is as we are.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Christine is going to go see her doctor when we're finished.
Yeah. You don't think it looks like that?
No, I don't. It's a partially finished figure, but I don't know that that's a man.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
And now here there's two figures on the other page here, but see, this is not finished.
Yeah.
Now we're turning the page.
Yeah.
What is that one?
This is 78 and 79. Are these getting bigger or are these still
These
really
are the same.
small?
78. That's Mr. Jim's Home by the Sea.
I thought it was a seascape.
Yeah, so I did many Mr. Jim drawings, and they're not here. I don't know where they are. Mr. Jim mentally projects 3 floating mice. Mr. Jim does 3 magic tricks simultaneously, things like this.
When did you meet this person?
In the 70s.
Yeah.
And so this is Mr. Jim's Home by the Sea.
What is this on 79?
79, it's just it's almost like the flow of something. And I really like this little drawing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yet you almost want to find a word in it, but I don't know if there's one there.
No, there isn't a word there.
Yeah.
This
Okay,
again,
we're getting to some rugs here.
Yeah.
On page 80 and 81. These are gorgeous. What are these on?
They're 5x7 cards. Well, no, the left one is a 5x7. The right is a different proportion, but I wouldn't know what that's on.
Now, for several years, were you only working really small like this?
Well, for sure. Big canvases cost a lot of money, and so I was working small.
This was all you could afford? That is heartbreaking. Well, you certainly made maximum use of your materials.
We'll turn the page.
See,
now we're going to get some more interiors.
Yeah, these are beautiful.
What page is this, Christine?
This is page 82 and 83, and again,
Okay.
it's the rabbit home.
83, the top one, is built. This is built for the show. This will be something to walk into.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be pretty cool. That was going to be the one on the left here, but I like this top part, and there's just a bit more going on in the top right one here.
So will the environment have wallpaper like
Yeah,
that?
it'll be just like this, walk into the drawing.
Will it be slightly smaller than full scale? Or?
It will be full scale in the front, and then forced perspective will make you have to duck to go into these back doors.
It'll be interesting to see if you can replicate this mood in an actual environment, you know?
Yeah, I don't know that it will happen, but it will be an
That'll be
interesting
great.
experiment.
Yeah.
Now we're turning the page again. These are a little bit too busy in my book for rugs. What page are we on?
We're on 84 and 85. You think they're too busy?
85 on the right
Yeah.
is my kind of thing
Well,
for a rug.
talk about this one on the upper right on 84.
They're just patterns, repetitions, and it could be a rug, I guess.
But too busy for you?
A hair too busy.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I said, I like the ones on the right for rugs.
Yeah.
more. Then we're getting into, now these, I don't know when these were. These might be in the 60s.
This is page 86 and 87, and it's 8 drawings done with a ballpoint pen.
Right. And they feel like what I was doing in the 60s. I was doing mechanical women. And so women that were part machine and part flesh.
Yeah, I think there's some other drawings that are even more specific.
Right.
You know, this looks like the drawings are absolutely suited only to ballpoint pen. You know.
Maybe that it does come out when what you use.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're getting into some more things like
Still on the little notepads.
this evolution of an ant and evolution of a fish. I like a lot.
Yeah.
How it reaches a point where it looks like a fish, but then keeps on going.
Yeah. That's great.
And these are, I'm on the right. That's a stink bug on the upper left.
Yeah, upper left on page 88. What were these done on? Some of
That's
these
little
drawings.
scraps of paper.
Yeah,
And this one on page, what's that?
page 89.
89, bottom right. I love this little drawing. Now that would make a great rug, or blow that up
Yeah.
bigger.
What appeals to you about that?
It's just it's a machine-like thing. and the way the shapes are,
Yeah.
and the mood of it.
Yeah.
I really like it. We're turning the page
Oh,
now.
now here's these two are, okay, this is page 90 and 91. These are completely singular. There's nothing else like this.
That's another series. I got these brushes. They're brushes you can get. They're pen brushes. So they hold ink, but the ink flows out of a brush.
Wow.
So you can get a kind of a dry brush thing going, and these drawings came out of that.
They almost look like braided lines. They're really dense. You have any idea when you made these?
I think this was in the 70s.
And are these still on little cards?
They're on little cards.
When did you finally get to get a bigger canvas? Not for a while?
Not for a while.
Yeah. Do you like these now?
I love these little drawings.
Did you do
Yeah.
a lot of these or just these
I did a lot of
four?
those.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
I did a whole series of those. I really like that brush pen.
Yeah.
This is one started.
Right.
Then the next page. And then this is ballpoint pen. I love ballpoint pen. And I love to get going on a ballpoint pen drawing.
Now, this is page 93, and there's a scribbled kind of figure in here that turns up a lot in your paintings of the late 80s and 90s.
Exactly.
Who is that guy?
It's just me.
Okay.
Then we got another stink bug on page, what is this?
This is page 94. These drawings look earlier than the ones we just saw.
I think they are. I don't know if they're 70s still, though. I think they are 70s.
Do you think when you make a work is of any significance?
No.
So you don't think any of these drawings particularly reflect what you were going through in that time and place?
They have to in some way, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a nature
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, we've got the bug and the
Bird.
bird on 94, 95.
Now this one here I like.
Yeah, I love that.
This is a little bit the evolution thing, but it has an absurd quality seen all together, and the writing is absurd.
Yeah, what do you think we need, Bob, in terms of color? This is obviously done on a napkin.
Right.
It's incredibly rich. The person that becomes a two-headed creature down here.
It's a little two-headed. The human head on a dog, I kind of like.
Did you do that in a restaurant?
Probably.
Okay. Now we're to the alphabet. So these are stills from your
From
film.
the alphabet.
Yeah.
That's my first wife, Peggy. When we lived on Aspen Street in Philadelphia. And this was a film. This is really my second film.
After 6 men getting sick?
But it would have been. I should have made one in between. But because it didn't work out, my camera was broken.
That's a problem.
It saved me.
What do you mean you should have made one in between?
I was given the opportunity after 6 men getting sick. I wasn't going to make any more films because it was too expensive. A man, Bart Wasserman, commissioned me to make a moving painting for his home.
Wow.
And with that money, I bought a used, but brand new to me, Bolex. And I loved this, camera. And I started Bart's project and animated for 2 months. Finished the animation part and took the film to the lab. And when it came back, it was one long blur.
Was it the camera?
It was the camera was broken.
Oh,
but
God.
It wasn't, oh, God. It was something about that made me happy.
Yeah.
And I got an idea for another thing, told Bart about it. He said, make whatever you want and give me a print. And I made the alphabet. Now, if I had made the other one, I wouldn't have been able to get the grant that I got eventually.
Yeah.
And so it was a beautiful turn of fate.
Bart sounds like a real visionary.
Bart,
Yeah.
Some people come along in one's life,
Yeah.
and it's just incredible.
Is this Peggy again?
That's Peggy. It's all. And then this, what page? Oh, we don't know. We're on the second page of the alphabet.
Yeah. Oh, this is page 98 through 103 is the alphabet.
So those are all just
You know,
stills.
this reminds me, the last image from the alphabet reminds me of Francis Bacon. Do you like his work? Well, some people don't.
He's my all-time favorite.
Yeah, I don't. Do you see that in
Oh,
there?
sure.
Yeah.
Huge influence
Yeah.
on me.
Where are their drawings from those films?
They're gone.
They're in drawing heaven?
Yeah, they were on a board, so it's all destroyed.
Yeah.
Now we're coming up to what page are we on?
Now we're on page 113, and we're getting into those kind of mechanical women.
This is the 60s.
Yeah.
66, 67, somewhere in there. I was doing mechanical women.
Yeah, they look like they're cobbled together out of prosthetics and spare
Exactly.
parts.
And flesh. Uh-huh. And these are all those
Yeah.
turning the pages.
Yeah, up to page 115, some more of those women. Do you remember why you were making those?
No.
No?
Something about machine and mankind together.
It's a common
is
theme. Yeah.
very beautiful.
Yeah, so right here from page 116 through 128, it's a series of drawings, and they really feel like they open up, like the space in them, the use of color.
Well, these are shootings on this page, these pages.
People getting shot?
Yes.
Wow. What did you do these on? Notebook paper?
Those are on, yeah,
So they're a little bigger.
they're a little bit bigger.
Yeah. How did you get the whole page black? Did you paint
I
it?
painted it black.
So they're paintings.
A little bit, yeah, paintings
Yeah.
on paper. This here is, I did a lot of figures getting sick.
Page 119, we've got a vomiting.
Yeah.
Why do you think you were drawing that?
And it's also coming from the
In
nose.
the nose, yeah.
I don't know.
He looks pretty ashamed, actually.
I was just boldly dealing with it.
It's so interesting, this stuff coming out of his nose, it looks like the world, you know,
There's
the
so
raw
much-
matter, yeah.
A lot of textures.
This looks like the same guy on pages 120 and 121. Is it the same guy?
No, they're just figures. They are not, in my mind, the same person.
Yeah. They seem to have the same eye, though.
But it's a series, so
Yeah.
it could be.
Yeah.
And this one on page, what is that?
On page 122.
I like that
Yeah.
that figure.
Yeah. And on the next page, 123, is a military man in boots sitting in a chair with a giant nose with a pimple.
Well, his head is a nose.
Yeah, right.
And this was at AFI in 1971. I probably did this drawing based on Gogol's short story called The Nose.
Really?
Yeah, because
And
I
is
was
there a
into
pimp-
Kafka, and then Frank Daniel, the dean of the schools, told me I should read Gogol.
Did you like him?
Yeah,
Is there a pimple in the story?
I'm not sure about that, but there's a nose who dressed up like a general, I believe.
Oh, that's amazing.
Instead of a cockroach, as in Kafka's Metamorphosis, I think he finds himself as a nose.
Nose. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know he wrote those. Okay, I love this one. On page 124, is that pastel or paint?
That's tempera.
Tempera on just a scrap of newspaper. Was it an arbitrary scrap of newspaper? or-
Arbitrary.
Okay. Do you still have this?
I must.
Yeah. God, you were working on everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So these next ones they're okay. They're like in the 60s. Still in a little bit the time of the mechanical women and different things working out.
Yeah. That's 126 and 127.
And
On 128.
that's the times of the grandmother.
Well, what's man in a garden, figure with green? There's a list of...
Those are probably ideas.
Were you thinking about film when you were making these drawings?
No, but I was starting to, get into film, right? I mean, I was into it right then, but I don't think I was thinking about film when I made those drawings.
Okay, now we're coming to a series
to
of
the grandmother.
stills of the grandmother. This is page 130 through 135. Did you shoot all the stills on your films?
These stills are from the film.
Oh.
There was no still photographer on on the grandmother. Mm-hmm. But I had still photographs taken for something that I wanted to animate. And my friend Doug Randall took several pictures. But I didn't use them because the way they were printed, it didn't work. Mm-hmm. But he did take pictures. I don't know if he still has them.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was wondering, in this book, there's a series of stills from all your movies. How do you go about selecting the images from a film that are the most potent and meaningful?
Hervé picked them.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're just...
they're his choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on Inland Empire, I selected almost 2,000
really?
Going through. Yes, and I liked doing that a lot.
Who's the little boy?
Richard White. He lived in the neighborhood. All the people in the grandmother came from my life. And Bob and Virginia were the parents. Richard White was the boy. And Dorothy McGinnis played the grandmother. She was the lady I printed with every day, engravings. Roger and Christine Lapel hired me to print.
Was this in Philadelphia?
Yes, in Philadelphia. Roger and Christine really kind of saved me.
In terms of finances,
Yes.
or giving you a direction? Or
helping me have a job that allowed me to also paint.
That's a great gift.
It was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a very beautiful child.
Richard White, yeah, right down the street. And he said he would do it, and he was unbelievably great.
Yeah. Okay, now we're on page 137, and it looks like a bat. Is it a bat?
Those are just variations on the small animal.
Insect thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a scrap of notebook paper again.
Now these here on the next page, what are those pages?
Well, this is page 138 and 139, and they look like cathedrals to me for some reason.
I did hundreds of these arches and, kind of like, in my mind, what is it, the Renaissance kind of period, Italian things.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And I would get into those things like crazy. So all this is with ballpoint pen.
Wow, that must have taken a while.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Charlie Crumb for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, I love Charlie Crumb.
Yeah, he was
Damn.
great. Yeah.
So good. Now, so this next page, what is that page, Christine?
This is page 140, and that's a similar kind of drawing.
That's a similar one, yeah.
So that's just all blacked in with ballpoint pen?
Right.
Wow. And on 141, is this on note card again?
Yes, I think so. It doesn't really go with the other ones, but it's sort of interiors again.
It looks like there's sperm flying through it. Is that what those are?
Well, you could see it that way. Christine.
You don't? Come on. What is that shape?
Well, I don't know. It's like,
Or a tadpole.
It's liquid. Yeah,
Okay.
it's liquid.
Okay.
And
Better shut my mouth.
and it's a little bit of a garden.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's an exterior?
Nature. No, it's interior, but there's plants.
Uh-huh. Oh, these are beauties.
Now, this was page what?
Page 142 and 143.
Yeah.
She's got smoke coming out of her head.
Well, it's a thought, maybe. And so there's a figure. I really like this. My daughter Jennifer, I printed up one of these for her. Mm-hmm. She liked that one.
Yeah.
And I get into these gardens and, around back of the house kind of thing. And this one here is just there's a lot going on in that one.
That one seems whimsical.
Yeah,
That one seems happy.
I think.
This one's a little more brooding. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It looks like it's a hot thought, if that's a thought coming out of her head.
Yeah, this is some kind of creation.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Oh,
and this one here on page, what is that?
On page 144.
These 144 and 145 are old things. This from the 60s.
Well, this one, 144, it looks like some growth that pushed its way up out of several layers of earth, and it looks very malignant and creepy. Was that your intention?
No, it's just a figure,
Yeah. but it did seem to come from down under.
To grow on up.
Yeah.
I like this one, the feel of it.
So a 145, it's like you delineated a space on the notebook page.
Right.
That's kind of unusual.
And this is another thing from the 60s on page 146.
Yeah, 146 and 147.
Both those are 60s.
Do some of these drawings, you just have reproductions of them, or they are all still preserved somewhere?
They're all preserved.
That's great.
This here is
148.
from Eraserhead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is what's the number?
148.
148. That's Henry's bed.
Oh, I see. Right.
But I can't figure out, what it was that I was working on.
Is this also from Eraserhead?
It might be that time.
Because it's like a birth.
I really like that drawing a lot.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites right there. That's 149?
Yes, 149. And it looks like it's dated, 1968? Could that be?
Sure.
Yeah.
68.
Yeah, that's unusual for you to... Okay, here we go.
That's the B-board.
150. So you did a B-board. Did you do a fly board too, or just a B-board?
No, I just started with the B-board. Well, I started with the Ricky board. And the Rickies were rubbings from white glue textures. And then I'd do rubbings of 4 rows of 5. And then out of that came the B-board. And the idea of name your Rickies, and the bees have names.
So each of these bees is an actual bee glued to the board.
Exactly, and then I'd photograph them. Isabella Rossellini has the original bee board.
She's got the bee board?
But
Wow.
the bees all came apart.
Oh.
And they're at the bottom of the frame now.
Well, there's something beautiful about that, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's little microorganisms that keep working.
And just their little names.
Just the names are left.
And the fish kit.
That's the first kit I did. I did that in London, in Twickenham.
Was that when you were making Elephant Man?
Yes. It was in post-production of Elephant Man. We'd finished shooting, and I had an apartment where I went out and got this fish, and I wanted it. It's based on a model airplane kit. So you get the kit, and then you put it together. There's instructions. So if you're successful putting your fish together, it will swim and do these things.
Now, you also did a chicken kit, which looks much neater than this one. The fish was pretty messy.
Well, there's, it's
A lot of goo.
all necessary.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and this is a gorgeous picture of the Eraserhead baby on 153.
That's a pastel drawing of the baby.
Oh, it's so beautiful. How big is that?
That's about 30 by 40 or something like, some size that's...
Yeah. Who has this drawing?
I've got it somewhere.
That is a real beauty. Is it going to be in the exhibition?
Yeah, I believe it will be.
Oh, that's great. Now this, I can see in this drawing, you moving towards that work you were making in the late 80s, the big pastels, like dark shape behind a veil, right there.
This is the same period.
Oh, okay.
Now we're turning the page.
And we're on 154 and 155. Now these look earlier than what we just saw.
This is the Eraserhead baby on the right.
Okay.
And you see the scissors, and I must have been working out things.
Yeah. Is that the umbilical cord of the Eraserhead baby? It looks like it.
Well, this is an opening in the body.
Yeah. Looks very troubling. Just an Eraserhead baby.
Right. This is Henry sitting on the bed on page, what's that?
Oh, yeah, 156, and it has the mound of dirt next to the bed, which is so wonderful.
I love mounds of dirt.
Yeah. And then I remember if you open his drawer, he had bowls of water he'd flip coins into.
That was in the dresser.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, now we have stills from Eraserhead.
Right.
Did you take...
Catherine Colson took most of these stills.
Okay.
She was the still photographer.
Well, God bless her.
Some might be from the film, but some are Catherine's. Mm-hmm. She was the official still photographer.
Did you select these, or Hervé did?
No, these are from probably the select stills of Eraserhead that went out when the film was released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, before we leave Eraserhead, do you think you're still working through any of the themes that that are central to that film, or do you think you've worked through those things and moved on to something completely different?
Yes and no. Because Eraserhead, I say, is my most spiritual movie.
I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's, like they say, variations on the theme, the human condition and what's happening. I think, in a way, maybe you just take different angles on, and it's a narrow angles, but different angles, and but it comes from ideas. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of all the same, but not.
Different vantage point.
Right.
Yeah. This drawing on page 165, I can't connect that with anything else we've seen so far.
That's a drawing of a clock, a watercolor.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
I like clocks, and I like a mechanism, and I'd like to make clocks.
And there's there's the numbers on the clock. I see. Yeah. That looks like it would be hard to do in watercolor.
No.
Well, the precision of the numbers, watercolor is hard to control. But maybe not for you. Okay, so this is 166 and 167.
Okay, 166 and 167, I think these are both inspired by France. Mm-hmm. This kind of mechanical thing on this page, 167, is coming from some kind of French experience.
When did you first go to France?
In 65.
Oh, is that when you went with Jack Fisk?
Right.
And you turned around and came home early?
After 15 days instead of 3 years.
What happened? Did you run out of money, or it was just too much?
I realized pretty quickly I didn't want to be there to do my work.
Kandinsky wasn't there.
Right.